Welcome to the No Name Brand Podcast. My name is Sashka Hanarapal, actress, singer, dancer, turned brand marketing, sales, and advertising strategist who brands your soul. And each week I bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover your underdog, turn up your leadership notches, challenge the status quo, because you're fast and furious with a powerful message to share with the world. Thank you for taking time out with me today, and without further ado, let's get our creative and wisdom juices flowing. Hello, everybody, and we're back on the No Name Brand Podcast with moi, your host, Sashka Hanarapal. And today's episode is going to ruffle things up a bit. Why? Because it's an area that makes most people, whether you're an entrepreneur or consumer, cringe. Mainly because we've had some sleazeballs create a perception around sales that gets us running for our lives. So there could be two perspectives. Remember Wolf of Wall Street? Yeah, that. Those are the type of things that make us go, "Ooh, no, don't come to me with the sales." In school, we were compelled to raise monies for something at school, or the church, and. And the thought of going up to someone and asking for money felt yuck. And that pretty much rings true for so many entrepreneurs and anyone today. Sales feels yuck. Heck, I used to think that too for a long time, until I realized a while ago that sales is love. You heard me right. You see, I learned that I love what I do, and I love my overall life purpose so much that by not selling, it would be not loving myself. Now, that's what holds many entrepreneurs up and kind of takes away the fun in sales, even if it is love. Our next guest is quickly becoming one of Australia's most sought-after sales coaches and business consultants. He consults globally for business and strategic advice. And I love myself some strategy. He has worked with a diverse range of clients ranging from governmental, energy projects in Lithuania, so that's here in Europe for those people that don't know, solar farms in Australia, down under, to digital signage in Taiwan and China. Dude's all over the place, from franchising gyms to building out sales programs for 9-figured companies. Yep, that's the thing. Our next guest believes firmly that there are zero limitations regarding the building of companies and high-performing senior leadership strategies. Zero limitations, people, enabling every business to thrive and become a global player in an ever-expanding business landscape. Now, don't be fooled, okay? His background wasn't from a university, but rather a PhD in life and business, people. It's called experience. Developed from his unwillingness to give up, his effervescent and relentless energy across every business he has worked for, managed, and owned. Now, this decade-long experience entails working on 20 programs and clients, speaking to over 100,000 customers face-to-face. That's a lot of talking. 100,000 customers, helping various Australian and international clients increase their revenue over $100 million combined, as well as coaching nearly 3,000 sales agents within his own companies. Now, our next guest says that within each unique company is a mindset of a business owner. Go figure. And his ability to understand each and every owner's mindset is a large contributing factor of the successful results he achieves in a very short space of time. If you've never walked in the shoes of the person, you will never understand their journey. Now, ain't that the truth? So, coming from the bottom to the top, our next guest has been in every mindset stage himself, and he has learned so much from every experience. His methods and business practices have been tried, tested, and proven. Rinse and repeat, and you can buy the t-shirt here on the show. They are not from a book, but by using his own companies and ventures as the test subjects for these processes. Now, what did J-Lo say in the movie Manhattan Queen? I can't remember the line exactly. When she was wanting to get that job promotion but being shut down because she didn't have a university degree. Why can't they accept the degree of life of my application? Something to that effect. Well, folks, this is where it gets real. Let's welcome our next guest and delve into the world of sales with the one and only Julian van der Waal. Hello, Julian.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I feel like, when you were saying that, I was like, man, there's a few things on there. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the image that should be portrayed right now is the face app, right?
Nothing's being on.
I should be like 50 years old.
Yeah, you should. How old are you? How old are you? Oh,
36.
dude. That's
old enough to know better, young enough to do it again.
Ah, you said this a few times. How old are you? I'm old enough to do it again. Cool. So where are you in the world?
Based here in Adelaide, actually.
Oh.
Beautiful little Adelaide. It's kind of like that little bit between Melbourne and Perth that no one actually knows where it is. So yeah, I moved down here about 7-8 years ago. There was an opportunity down here to move down to Adelaide and open up my sales company. And yeah, but I travel around the place quite extensively. So even though Adelaide is home, it doesn't feel like home to me. I prefer some other cities in Australia. But yeah, I'm traveling a fair bit, which I really enjoy.
Why sales?
My background is actually not sales at all. So I started as a chef. Actually, I started as a cyclist, actually, if we want to go back that far, and found, all I wanted to do at school was become a professional cyclist. And in fact, that was actually a catchphrase of mine, in the sense of, don't worry, I don't need maths because I'm going to be a pro cyclist. So don't worry, I don't need to have a big chest because I'm going to be a pro cyclist. So that was a little catchphrase from year 11 and 12. But yeah, I was doing about 600 Ks a week at school, racing every weekend. So I wasn't into partying, I wasn't into girls. I was just pretty much head down, ass up. And that's definitely had a big impact in no pun intended, actually.
I'm a visual person, so I see everything. So I'm just like,
don't do that in Lycra. Don't do that. No one wants to see that in Lycra, right? And then, got into cooking. The reason why I got into cooking and chefing was because my mum said, you eat so much, why don't you become a chef? And I thought, well, okay, sure. I needed a job to pay for cycling. And that was essentially the end of my cycling career, because you're working 70 hours a week. So 17 years old, had my first job. I rode 20 kilometres to work. I started at 8:30 in the morning, rode 20 kilometres home at 3 o'clock, left at 3, back at 5 o'clock, 20 Ks back, and then left at 1 o'clock in the morning. And that was my first job. So, 4 or 5 times. That was probably about 3 or 4 times a week. And then you get a night or a lunch shift, but 5-6 days a week. And, 60, 70, 90 hours, I think, was the biggest week that I ever had. And I'm grateful for that. There's probably 2 years of my life that I literally can't remember because I was just so tired, but good start to my working career.
So how did you get into sales? How did you go from chef to sales?
Yeah, and then I got into sales. I started an apprenticeship. I left cooking, took a little bit of time off, and on the Gold Coast there's a few distractions there. A few good nightclubs, as you can imagine, when you turn 18, and then got into sales. Really found that quite enjoyable. Was top 5 in the country in the first 2 weeks, so I thought, I guess I'm okay at this. And then tried to build a bit of a business out of it, tried to recruit a few people, and just really, to be honest, had to grow up. Just really wasn't the person I needed to be. Still going out on the weekends, still working at one of the nightclubs on Tuesday nights, and essentially trying to build a business, which I know now just wasn't, it's just not possible. So I left that, got back into cooking. My grandfather said, whatever you start, you must finish. So I got back into cooking. I started and finished my apprenticeship because I had to restart the whole thing again. I did the 4-year apprenticeship in 13 months. 3 years after that, took over the restaurant. We sold that a year later and really found the love for small business and really found myself enjoying that business world and growing businesses. So got back into sales. The reason why I got back into sales, I actually didn't like myself as a person, as a chef. So very, very stressful, very, very aggressive. I call it adrenaline-charged aggression. So for anyone that's seen Gordon Ramsay, that's actually what the kitchen's like. So it's a very unique environment that essentially has to stay in the kitchen because you can't use those language and you can't throw pans at people outside the kitchen. So yeah, it's very, very, I found that quite enjoyable. It was very, very difficult. A difficult time in my life, but that's probably not for this podcast. And then got back into sales after I did that. And then 3 years after that, learned a lot about business, learned a lot about keeping a business lean from the restaurant, and then set up a company 3 years after I started in sales again, basically knocking on doors, building a business through knocking on doors, and set up a 7-figure business after that. So yeah, and then we've been into retail outlet. Me and my wife had a retail shop that we turned around in fairly quick form from a massive loss to a decent profit pretty quickly. Had a recruitment company. We've had, a few things going on now. So, yeah.
So what made it so easy for it? Does sales come as easy to you as it does to your wife? Because it sounds like you're just in it. Because sales isn't something that people are like, oh yeah, I love to sell. Let me go knock on doors. Hi.
Yeah, she's definitely not that sort of person, that's for sure. She's not. She's actually very good at sales because I've got 3 kids, so she must be very good at sales. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely not called a salesperson. And for the most part, what it really highlighted to me was the lack of focus on the sales processes in small businesses, right? I'm talking small business under $1 million, under $2 million. And the lack of focus on the skill sets of sales and actually having an active sales program or process outside of a personality-driven rapport-building person in your business, that essentially if that person leaves, you're in deep trouble. So you're right, it does come with negative connotations due to experiences and snake oil salesmen from my great-grandparents and grandparents. And essentially, direct sales is the second oldest profession in the world, second to one that's a little bit more whatever. So yeah, so it's been around for a very long time. And the reason why I got into sales was I was looking for job security. And I knew that, I mean, we're talking 10 years ago. So AI and robots and automation really wasn't, for the most part, even a conversation outside of that show Beyond 2000 that used to be on in the 90s, where everything was the futuristic and the Jetsons, and outside of the stuff that's sort of pipe dreams and cartoons and Hollywood, no one was really talking about that. What I did feel myself was, if you're going to be good at sales, you're always going to have a job. And I'm talking about good, right? Same as a chef. If you want to have job security, become a great chef, and you can literally work all around the world. If you've got a European passport, even better. Dutch background, so that's fantastic. Didn't serve me because I didn't do it, but would have been it's a good idea in hindsight. I should have done that. But sales is one thing that, no matter how good artificial intelligence gets or automation, the connection that you can have with another human being is actually probably more sought after these days than it was previously, by people that actually care. And like you said, sales is a very, very negative connotation. As soon as you say, I'll teach you how to do sales, no one wants to buy into it. And essentially, they really should be buying into it due to the fact that that's going to be the driving force for their revenue. Outside of, they want to send an email, or let's do an email campaign or social media. The only reason why people focus on digital marketing is they don't have to talk to people.
Yeah.
That's it. And they reckon it's a low barrier of entry, but you can spend a lot of money. I could make more money in 2 hours going to business or door to door, selling any product, whatever it happens to be, or at least 2-3 days, than someone would putting a social media campaign together. And the price points of getting agencies, and if they do the right thing, and marketing strategies and all those sort of things. So it does come with a very cringeworthy feel. And of all the business owners that I speak to about sales, they're like, oh, I don't want to be that person. Pretty simple. Don't.
Yep.
Add so much value, and that's essentially the course that I'm writing at the moment, the workshop that I'm doing at the moment, is and how you can add so much value. You don't actually have to sell your own products. That's where the sales game is going to right now. So.
Well, a lot of small businesses also, when they're setting everything up, they do forget that they're not going to be a one-man or one-woman show forever. But they're doing all that work and not documenting what it is that they're doing selling, how they're selling things, where things going wrong. They're just focusing on, I mean, this is my business as well, the branding and the pretty stuff and what am I saying on social media? I'm like, but you're still selling. You're selling yourself. So how are you selling there? And then that process that you're selling into, whatever that funnel is. And a funnel is often online. It's been around for yonks. It's not something that's new. What steps for our listeners at the moment? They're going, yeah, I'm a one-man, one-woman show, and I don't know how to do the sales. And it's not just a mindset thing. It's just literally, what am I supposed to be doing? What process should I be putting into place? Is it just the funnel? Or is it, I don't want to hide, I actually want to be somewhere, but what are my steps?
Yeah, well, first of all, in my coaching, I talk about 3 things: mentality, mechanics, and metrics. So the metrics is basically pure numbers. So a lot of people get caught up in, the rejection, and I get that. That's part of sales. It's understandable. I don't like hearing the word no either. So I've actually got a strategy that I never hear the word no. So no one says no to me. It's quite good. No one. Yes. I didn't hear that. I don't know what you said. I don't know what that word means. So first of all is your metrics and actually understanding the numbers. If you've never done anything like this before and you don't have numbers, a good idea is just to start, right? Because then you can not only see progress, but between each stages, between contact or whatever the funnel is, whether email campaigns or social media or face-to-face or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Everyone has conversion rates across every stage. Whether the email out, what's the open rate? What's the return? Like every stage has a process. And once you understand those numbers, then we can work on the finer details of how we can actually increase the open rate or how we can actually increase the first impression, how we can actually increase the close ratio, how can we referral, and how can we, all those sort of steps along the way. Now we can work up the little finer percentages, and now we have a solid process that's documented and not necessarily only for someone else coming in, but sometimes even for ourselves. Business is getting a lot more complicated than it ever used to be, right? Where the business owner needs to actually be quite good at a lot of things these days. Branding, recruitment, marketing, sales. By the way, sales and marketing is different, okay? Just in case people don't, it's not sales, right? It's very, very different. Then you've got to have finance, knowing your numbers. And I talked that with one of my business programs at 7 steps to 7 figures, and basically stepping out exactly what each section of the business, or let's say division of the business, and what it's there for. Whereas previously, when you had a mum and dad's fish and chip shop, you got cash coming in, and you order this and you order the perch and the snapper and the chips, and essentially, the milkshake's out. Oh well, we can't do milkshakes tonight. And that's essentially a very, very simple business. It's on the corner store. It's next to the deli. You put a sign in them and everyone comes, right? That's not how business is run these days. So it's very, very different. So metrics is first. Mechanics we can run through in around probably about a month of coaching, never taking anyone or never doing a sale before. And you can understand the basics of sales within about a month. And then you work on your mentality. Now, mentality takes the rest of your life to get good.
No.
Okay.
No.
It's like going to the gym. If you're looking at Mr. Olympia or the women's one or whatever, Mrs. Olympia, I'm not sure, they will never be too strong. Someone doing an Ironman, 42k run, 180k bike ride, and 3.6k swim or whatever it is, they're never going to get too fit. The times in the 180k bike ride is never too fast. So essentially, mentality is exactly the same. The worst thing about mentality, the only way to get it strong is to go through difficult times. That's the worst part. That's it. That's the caveat to it. So
true. So true. Who inspires you in sales and business?
I like Grant Cardone. He's a grinder, man. I like him. And he's still on the grind. He can still sell. In sales and business, Tony Robbins, he's got some really good stuff in mastering influence. Brian Tracy, some old stuff with Brian Tracy. But essentially, the rest of it is down to just understanding what I really find is my personal niche is understanding consumer psychology. And that will only come from speaking to 100,000 people face to face. That's a bit of data there. And that's personally me speaking, knocking on their door and speaking to these people, representing 22, well, actually more, probably 36 different campaigns across the country. So different demographics, job descriptions, cultural differences, age groups, social statuses, everything. I've seen the way people live in multiple 7-figure, 8-figure houses, and I've seen people live at the bottom of the scale of the socio-economic. So yeah, I'm inspired by the way people live, and I'm inspired by the way people live, if you know what I mean.
What's the through thread or the golden thread that you saw from those 100,000 people that you happen to? Because there's always a very common thing that goes through everything. Yeah,
great question. The common thread is that most people are unhappy. The common thread is that most people are not living the life that they... Let me phrase this without being an arsehole. The reason why I say that is because most people are living the life that they deserve, and I mean that respectively. The reason why I say that respectfully, and the reason why I can say that is because they haven't done anything to change their life. So in some way, they're getting exactly what they want. I know it's unresourceful, but it's actually everything that they're working for, i.e. they work I think life has consequences. Everything has consequences. If you want to be super fit and healthy and have the potential, not guaranteed, have the potential to live a long life, then you need to eat right. You need to potentially sleep properly. Don't drink too much. Don't smoke. Don't do drugs. Plenty enough water. And then you're not guaranteed. I know 30-year-olds that have had a heart attack and they super fit and don't never drink, never smoke. So, but you're more likely, you're more likely to more successful, more longer life, right? Or you can have the opposite and be morbidly obese, struggle to wake up in the morning, lethargic, diabetes, heart attack, stroke. You probably won't see your great-grandkids walk down. So that's a choice, and then that way you can drink your 2 liters of Coke, you can smoke as much as you want, you can drink as much as you want, you can party as much as you want, and you're more likely to lose a foot, right? And the same goes to being poor and being wealthy. And I'm not saying that being poor is a choice, but in some way it somewhat is. And the reason why I know that somewhat is because everyone has a choice to change their life. And the reason why I know that is because this is the best resource that man, whoever, has ever put in front of us. Because whatever we want, we can literally Google it. It's a verb, it's a doing word, right? I've set up companies by Googling how to set up X company. And I set up a whole company just by Googling how to set up a recruitment company. Set it up by just Googled it, right? So there's really no excuse. You know, Tony Robbins says it's not about lack of resources, but lack of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Which I believe, you know. So, yeah.
Did you come to this, I don't want to say conclusion, but this awakening prior to starting your business that motivated you to go forward in your business going, I have a choice. I've seen all these people that are unhappy and you could actually change this. You can flip the coin. And that's kind of been your pivotal moment?
Yeah, so as a kid, we never grew up with much money. Like there was times and I remember quite clearly, vividly, there were times where my parents had no money. We got kicked out of houses. We'd lost the family home. They'd been bankrupt before. There was times we didn't even have food. Right? My mum said, you know, years later, but when you're a kid, we're talking like 9 years old, so you're not really aware, but you know that there's, and we have rice, and then sometimes we might get soy sauce with the rice, and that was like a treat, you know what I mean? I remember one dessert we had Sago, which is like
yum. I know Sago, yeah.
Yeah, not the way my mum made it, but that is cheap as man. That's really cheap. So we never grew up with much money, and we had nice schools, but we didn't really have much else. So that drive and probably losing the family home was another big kicker, where I never wanted my own family to go through the same thing. That's probably why I've worked 70 hours a week for the last 19 years straight. You know, it's probably why when I was cycling, I moved quickly through the grades because I wanted to be racing in the Tour de France, and I didn't care how young I was. I was racing guys that were 25 and I was 17, and they've been racing for literally 10 years, and I was only been racing for 6-7 months, and we're pretty much almost neck and neck. But at 17 to 25, your leg strength is a bit different in the sprints, right? So, and I was pretty skinny. So yeah, there's a few things, pivotal moments where that's definitely had ripples through my life and a resonance where I just want to make sure that I can be a provider for my family, and hopefully that we don't have to go through that.
And do you still take heed to what your grandfather said? Did you have to finish something that you start?
Yeah, I actually got called out on that on a podcast a while ago where they're like, oh, but there's all these businesses that didn't work out. I'm like, oh, look, got experience, and there's also a few things like venture capital and resources and time, and there's a few things. So there's a few businesses that were in the graveyard, didn't work out. That's fine. There's a few businesses that are in the freezer on ice. They're waiting to take off, but a little bit more time and resources. But yeah, whatever you start must finish. And it's kind of like doing a 12-week challenge and stopping 10 weeks. It's kind of like, perfect example for anyone that does group training. Watch the way people train. When there's 5 seconds left, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, instead of doing one more rep, they stop. Now, my question to that is, how many times does that play out in your life through your day, your week, your month, your year? Right? It's just one rep. It doesn't mean anything. It's how we play the game.
Yeah,
that's
it adds up. Yeah.
100%. You know,
that's
so you run to the line and they stop just before and they turn around. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how you play your life. That's how you play your game in life. So to me, that it's all needs to be congruent with how you play and how you play.
I love that. Do you, I don't want to say, believe or take heed of things like energetic selling? So when you're selling that there's a lot of energy surrounding it, is that like becoming more and more within business?
How do you mean?
Corporates? That more selling, that there's a balance between the mindset manipulation of selling something, because there's a lack of better words like NLP. I mean, I follow NLP and it has its good sides, but there's a lot of manipulation that happens to get someone to sell something. Like if they really don't have the money and you're going, man, you're worth it. You deserve it. And I'm like, I just don't have the fucking money. Like really. But then there's the energy that you're bringing in there.
Because you man, I don't have the cash. If I would, I would. Like, simple as that. That is the literal objection.
Exactly. And the energy that salesman, woman is bringing in, that they're bringing into the situation, it's not in, that energy is just like lack as well, because it's a force and it's repetition, and the person on the other receiving end is just reflecting that. Do you see that as well, or is it becoming more predominant now in sales?
Well, I work on years ago, I was definitely, especially door to door, was very high energy, and I love selling like that. Big energy, lots of jokes, very witty. Unfortunately, in Adelaide, I'm not as funny as I thought I was, but anyway, I'm bloody hilarious. I'm fucking hilarious, actually. I've worked in 5 states around the country, and I'm not funny in Adelaide, but it's not me, it's them. I guarantee that. But the energy that I've moved into more now, especially depending on the price point, it definitely changes the sales approach. Right? If you're selling something for $25, who cares? Sell it. $25, no one's going to miss it, even if it doesn't kind of suit the customer. It's not really, even though that sounds very, very bad, and I wouldn't even advise anyone to sell something that they don't really need. But for $25, who cares? I mean, for the consumer's point of view, they spent $25 on something stupid anyway. So what's the difference, right? But really where I'm taking the sales coaching to is more adding so much value that the price point is negligible. It doesn't matter. Almost to the point that for yourself, Saskia, do you think that X is a good suitable investment for Y to achieve boom, 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 boom? So that the money sounds so small to achieve all of your goals, dreams, aspirations, and remove your fears, doubts, concerns, then the money doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It does matter, but because you're going to get so much value, the difference that I can actually have in the close is quite phenomenal. Where it's like, look, what do you think? Do you reckon this is suitable? Do you think X is a suitable investment for Y, Y2, Y3, Y4, Y5? What do you think? And essentially, if I've gone through the process properly and I've spoken to you without putting words in your mouth, that's another, going back a step, that's from the close. From the back a step, from the qualification, gathering intel, building rapport, and actually finding out exactly if this product suits you. I don't agree with people selling products to people that don't need it. Right? Essentially, if people are a business coach and they're selling high-end business coaching, but they're actually new and they can't actually deliver what they say, to me, that's unethical. You should feel shit about doing that. And essentially, for me, I will call them out on that, and I hope you get so embarrassed I never see you again until you learn how to do things properly. Yeah, I'm a big believer in calling people out, especially if they're absolutely rubbish. Only because it's the position they put themselves in as the expert NLP master coach after 3 days. Get out of here. Yeah. I mean, you can't. It happened to me and it pissed me right off where someone actually got to me, reach out to me. I've got a $1,600 sales program, so 6 weeks, NLP, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't mean to be rude, but do you know who you're speaking to? Essentially, like, you know your target market, because do you know who you I will take this. I should be doing this, not you. Don't sell this to me. And we haven't spoken since, which is perfect. But to me, that was like, know your market, man.
Yeah, that is so important to know your market. Very, very important. And a lot of small businesses, even corporates, don't know their audiences very, very well. They just know them as statistics.
Yeah, and just a number and those things. But, in regards to qualification, you can ask some very, very high-end intelligent questions to really dig deep very, very quickly and actually find out so much information about the person that even that person didn't know. And then that's really what I go through with my coaching, because a lot of people are asking simple questions like, top level stuff, and I go 5, 6 levels down very, very quickly, where it's as simple as just finding why, like really, really deep down. And then all of a sudden, now I know exactly why your fears, concerns, like I said, what are your aspirations, what are your dreams, and assume we start working together, whatever it is, do you think that is a suitable investment if we can heal those? Now, the caveat to that is I better make sure I back that up. Now the pressure's on me.
Yeah.
And it should be. You should feel a bit of pressure, like, whew, I better deliver. This is not, we're talking about small business owners, and that's where people get really, really confused with salespeople. They're working for commission, like a recruitment agency. Most recruitment agencies, I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but most of the recruitment agencies, the client is not the company, the client is a candidate, right? So we get a candidate, we buy a candidate from XYZ recruitment company. 6 months later, after the term's been finished, that recruitment company calls up the candidate and offers them a better job for $20,000 more, gets a commission of that company, and we'll find you someone else. So that's how the recruitment industry works. And someone from recruitment told me that. And I was like, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
That whole investment of time and energy as well.
Correct.
And
recruitment can cost 43% of the average wage for the year because of time, downtime, handover, coaching, paying recruitment companies. So yeah, that's why we set up one of the companies is setting up a recruitment company to really just eliminate that. Most companies, not all. I do know quite a few recruitment companies over here in Australia that are incredible at what they do, but that's mainly the model that most of them run on, which is, I think, quite disgusting.
So where's the future of Julian van der Waal going? And what's it like in your head? So what's happening in the mind, and where's it projecting? Where's the vision going?
Look, someone asked me that the other day, and it's like, you know what? I don't know. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually okay with that.
Oh.
I don't know. And I'm really, really okay with that. I used to be literally 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, my 10-year plan. I got my Ferrari, like that used to be my vision boards. And I'm actually really enjoying the space of essentially I don't really have a job right now. I'm essentially unemployed. There's a few things going on, but I'm essentially, I don't wake up to do a job anymore. I've got no deadlines as such. I've got no work that's pressing. There's obviously stuff to do, but there's nothing that's like, right, I need this done by 3 o'clock this afternoon. I don't have that. So I'm actually in a very, very, for the first time in 20 years, in a very, very nice space where I wake up in the morning. If I don't have something on, I sleep in. If I do, I get up early tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'm obviously doing this tonight, up at 6 o'clock tomorrow, do something. But if I don't, I'll get up with the kids, get them ready. I might sleep in. So it's kind of really, really nice. And if I go back to myself 10 years ago, I would not know who I am.
Wow.
I'd be like, no, not a chance. Like, there is no chance you would not get up and be like hustling hard. It just is not, that is not the Julian no, I don't believe it. No chance.
That's
so
beautiful.
So I'm really enjoying the space I'm in right now. Look, it could change. I don't know. For the certainty in regards to my needs, human needs, certainty used to be up there. Now it's kind of like, well, we'll just see how it goes. I don't know. There's going to be coaching clients and there's going to be expansion in my own personal brand and the sales side of things. Whether I'm speaking on stage in front of workshops doing sales stuff, I don't know. I might be doing solo deals. We've got digital signage that's starting to pick up and do quite well. There's 2 other projects. We've got a water filtration company that's going to be rolled out nationally pretty soon, and a social media internship. We've got signed agreements with universities. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm all good with that. I'm really happy not to know. I'm excited because it's going to be pretty cool. I don't know.
I love that.
It's kind of strange because if I'm going through my own clients, I would say, you need to know. That's like kind of not good enough. Like, where is your business heading? We've done, forecasts and very, very bottom line forecasts, nothing crazy, not like they would have been 10 years ago, right? And they're all good. They're all decent. They all are going to make good money. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Cool.
That's all I know.
So I have 2 more questions for you. One of them being, how would you like to, or how do you want to change or challenge the world doing what you do?
Yeah, I like to challenge every coach out there, because I reckon most of them are hacks. That's okay. I would like to change it in the sense that essentially what I'm trying to do is have experience in nearly every industry, so I know how it works. I'm really enjoying finding out this digital signage, from importing to logistics to delivery to install to post, is just completely new business model that I've ever worked in before. And it's challenging. Like, I don't understand some parts, even though I've been in business for all up 20 plus years, if you stack them, right? More probably. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying feeling like a child in business again. Going from running a sales company where it took me 3 hours a day to run a sales company turning over 7 figures, didn't really take much to do that. Once it's up and running, the money's in the build of it. Once it's built, I'm done by 11 o'clock in the day, and that was it. So now, yeah, the thing I want to challenge is business coaches and really tighten up that industry. A lot of these business coaches are going for low-hanging fruit, and I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. I never say things to be disrespectful. From a marketing point of view, they would even say it's low-hanging fruit. I think there should be a moral compass where people go, am I delivering service? No ego, right? Because everyone thinks their shit doesn't stink. So, or they've gone to a Tony Robbins event and now they're a life coach, and it's like, dude, you come out of working in a retail outlet, like, you got to learn some shit, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you're not going to learn anything there, but you need to learn a little bit more than stacking shelves. Like, you need to learn a little bit more, right? I'm never going to stop people. This is where people will take me out of context. I'm never going to stop people from giving it a go. I'm never going to stop people from trying. Like, I've tried lots of things, right? But I don't position myself as something if I can't deliver.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to challenge these coaches in that space, because you don't learn this stuff out of a book. You can, but it's the actual delivery. Does this actually work? Like you said in the intro, it's tested, it's formulated, calculated, tested, proven, retested, reproven over and over, and then you've got something. It's like setting up a franchise, but you've only got one store. One store is not a proof of concept.
That's true. Yeah.
And what I like to change, it just supports small businesses. So I think a lot about how the struggle of small businesses actually are, and there's so many families that are trying and they're about to lose their home, and there's so much pressure at home. They might lose everything, their house, their kids, their wife, for an adventure. That's what I would call it, but they would probably call it a catastrophe. The effort that they put into it, most of them need help. Most of them need a lot of help. And there is enough resources out, but when you're in the mindset, as you said, literally gone through every mindset from feeling like absolute rubbish in 2015, October, I literally didn't want to get out of bed. I thought I was having depression, and my company was kicking ass. Like, we're talking 20 to 35 grand a week, right?
Wow.
Killing it. I thought I'd never make that much money in my life. Well, I thought I would, but when you do, you're like, holy shit, this actually happened. And I was depressed. So I thought, oh, that's pretty annoying. Like buying a new car and you think, well, it didn't change my life. It's quite annoying that didn't do anything. So I need to help small businesses out. I've got a responsibility towards that. I need to teach business owners how to sell their own products, because most of them don't.
Yeah.
I need to set up stuff for myself, because I find building and setting up businesses fun. It's a hobby. Sometimes it's an expensive hobby. Actually. Here's
another one, folks. We've got another one happening over here. Oh, man. I'd love to hear your viewpoint of 3 of my 5 values. So your spin on it. So creativity for you is?
Look, I'm not a creative person, so I think. But creativity comes in a whole way of shapes and forms. So I'm definitely not an artistic person. But when you think about setting up a company from scratch, from idea to branding to roll out to distribution models to recruitment to financial models, commission structures, everything, you need to be quite creative in that space, right? I can't paint for rubbish. I can't even do dot to dot because I probably can't count that. I've got to take my shoes off, right? And I'm not an intelligent person. Academically, I'm actually quite rubbish. But somehow there's a knack to find gaps in businesses and find ways to build businesses. I guess you've got to be very creative to do that, you know?
Yeah, well, Two things. Creativity isn't just artistry, that's a perception. So you create a lot of things. And secondly, you've never given the chance for the academic. What? You created three kids. There we go.
Generations.
That's the way it should be. Same. So that's creativity as well. It's creation. What are you creating? You're creating businesses, creating space. So it's all there already. Passion for you is?
Yeah, that's a good one. But this is probably one of the things where passion is what you do when you, or how you feel when you're doing something and you're doing a lot of it and it doesn't feel like a lot. That's right. That is the most simple terms, unintelligent way I can actually explain it. Going cycling in the morning at 3 degrees and it's raining, I loved it. It was crazy. I had my beanie on, I was shivering. It's like 60-kilo guy, little boy, up in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, middle of winter. It was literally dark. I did an hour of riding, 30 Ks, 25, 30 Ks, in the dark, couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. That's passion.
Wow.
It's also sometimes called crazy from other people that don't understand passion, which I get. Okay, I understand that, and it's probably true. But passion is something that I think passion in this world is seriously lacking. And I think that there's a lot of things, as you can see behind me, that's passion to me. And one thing that I'm grateful for is that things that I do, I'm really passionate about. I really love motor racing. I love it. I really love my family. I really love making money. I really love building business. I really love seeing people's success. And that's passion. So I think people need to find more of it.
Yeah.
Not definitely. In one space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as many places as you can, because if you're gonna maintain confidence, and it only comes from success in business, there's going to be a time where you're not very confident because your success in business is quite lean, right? Or the opposite, let's say. So if you don't have it in the gym or sport or family or your own passions or your own ventures or your own learnings at worst, right? That's a pretty good one also. But you need to have as many places that you can draw upon this positive energy and great resource for yourself and give yourself that gift where it's actually going to provide yourself with some wholesomeness, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And the last one, wisdom for you is?
That's that face app. That's
Wisdom for me is a face app that makes me look older.
Yeah, exactly. Wisdom to me is learning the lessons that you should learn quickly, right? Learning the lessons from the trials and tribulations the first time, that's wisdom. That's someone that's wise. When you have this is what I've really, really worked out over my short time on this earth, is that life will keep teaching you a lesson until you learn it. It will just continue to teach you or try to teach you the same lesson until you learn it.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, once you learn it, it literally disappears for almost the rest of your life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
except when retrograde comes up, it's like, oh, really? Thought I dealt with this.
Everyone was talking about that in communication, and then I'm like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. But there was a couple of big deals that just like fell through real weird. I was like, okay, maybe there was something with the Gatorade or something. I'm not sure what it is, but it's the Mercury was crossing Uranus or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know. So someone mooned something. I don't know. I don't understand that stuff. But
it just happens.
Yeah. But what I do find about the energy space is that the more you get into it, the worse it gets, right? And
the more you dig, the deeper it goes.
That's right, exactly. So the worse it gets, which means the better it gets, but the worse it gets, it's quite sliding that way. So the more you're into that space of energy and universality, if you want to, and I'm definitely into that space quite heavily. The positives come out of nowhere and abundant, and then the Gatorade comes out and you're like, what the fuck? Come on, man. This is really, what the hell?
All cards on the table. Oh, no. All hands on deck.
Yeah, exactly. Man stations. So
bring in Captain Sparrow. We need the rum.
Yeah. Someone shows up. I'm your captain now. What? Who are you? What are you?
Oh, cool.
So I firmly believe that there needs to be a focus on, and like I said, universe will always keep teaching a lesson. My wife is a perfect example of that, in the sense that previous relationships, I tried the same model, not model, but same process, and had the wrong outcome every single time. And then I tried I just literally did Seinfeld when George tries the opposite.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And then a beautiful wife. So there you go.
Wow.
So try the complete opposite and see what happens. So,
I love it. I love it. Dude, thank you so much for being here, for being with us here and sharing your knowledge. And for our listeners, you can go to Julian van der Waal. I say it in Dutch. And if you're South African, you'll understand it.
I love that. Normally Van der Waal or Van der Waal or,
Wahaha.
I got to spell my last name twice every single time. It's not that apparently.
Well, awesome. Well, there we go. JulianVanderWaal.com, and you'll also find out his favorite book and his favorite quotes, social media handles. He's got a freebie for you in the show notes, and you can have a listen to that. And if you want to get in contact with him, or when you get in contact with him, super approachable guy, loves what he does, loves his family. Get in contact. He's really, really, really fun and just down to earth. Cool, down to earth people. I love it. Down under. And he's a comedian. Just not in Adelaide.
I stand up and everyone laughs at me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. And for all the listeners, I'll see you again. Or I hear you again next week. And remember, in the meantime, to stay fast and furious and to be the change that you want to see in the world. Love you all lots and see you all later. Bye-bye. Dang, that was just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I enjoyed having you on board, and please do me and you a favor. Head on over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Click subscribe, and a super bonus, leave your review and you stand a chance of being announced and advertised on the show. I'm always striving to ensure that your brand is uplifted and empowered. Remember, done is better than perfect. So be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and send in your feedback too. You're the absolute best. Keep rocking.